is the Wannabe Saints podcast, where we take virtues and try to break them down so they become tangible and applicable to your life.
We aren't here to bring you advice, we're here to bring you virtue. I'm Jordyn.
And I'm Rachael.
We're your hosts,
and this is Wannabe Saints.
Dude, what up? I see myself slightly over there. I am a wannabe saint. I don't think I've made it to level 2 of an actual wannabe saint, but we're working at it.
After this episode, you will be.
Yes!
All right, welcome back to Wannabe Saints, everybody. Tonight we have on my brother, Daniel. I'll just let you introduce yourself, and then I'll introduce the topic.
Yeah, so, as Rachael stated, I am Daniel, her older brother. I am 5 of 6, so just right above Rachael. But I guess myself, let's see, yeah, so life's been a journey. I have moved around a lot, just a lot of different things, places over the last 6 years since I basically met Nicole, my wife. Yeah, we have 2 adorable twin boys that are about to be 4. And Isabella, who is 2.5, she'll be 3 in February. They get confused as triplets all the time in public. It is an absolute trip. Yeah, it keeps life full of joy, noise, laughter, whining, tantrums, all of it. And keeps Nicole and I on our toes. You know, I didn't know talking about parenting would be such a long and drawn-out topic all the time. But it's fun. It's good. You just got to make a lot of pivots and you learn a lot. And I see how kids at the end of a family will grow up entirely different than the first ones, because I don't think you have to have as many conversations as we have with kids. But I love it. We want to keep growing our family and have more children. And then outside of that, with work, I'm just pursuing commercial roofing, just in every field of that, just kind of following in my father's footsteps. I'm sure, as Rachel's mentioned, he owns a roofing company. So growing up in that, I've just been pursuing that and trying to grow and hopefully fill his boots, so to speak, and just let that be a service to the world, to God's people. So I really see that path for myself as a way to serve God. And I just love it. I think it's kind of a weird thing to love. It's been something I've gotten picked on a few times in my career. Like, dude, you like weirdly love roofing. I'm like, I know it's weird, but I just do. So, but yeah, it's been a beautiful part of my journey. Just kind of falling in love with that 6 years ago. And then, yeah, it's just been kind of part of moving around a lot. So, but anyway. Awesome. I guess that's me.
Saint Daniel the Roofer. That was a good one. I don't think we have one of those yet.
I hope so. Yeah, I think Kyle and I are going to be in competition for that.
Yeah. Saint Kyle Chef Roofer.
Chef Roofer, yeah.
Chef Roofer.
No, that's great. So yeah, Daniel is on tonight we're going to talk about masculinity. So this is another interview episode, yet with another twist, because that's what we love to do here, is just always kind of shift how we're doing it. So we're going to go through masculinity with 5 virtues. We're going to talk about perseverance, chastity, humility, courage, and leadership. And as we get to each new virtue, we'll explain that virtue then, so that it's fresh in people's minds as we move through Daniel's story. In my opinion, Daniel's probably one of the most vulnerable men that I know, who would be willing to share his story. I don't know very many men who are willing to go there, but he is. So I hope that his story helps you. And, as he's sipping on his pumpkin spice latte.
It's like kind of like tough guys wear pink. Tough guys sip pumpkin spice.
Exactly. Yeah. No, you're so confident in your masculinity. You can sip a pumpkin spice latte. Not even a small one. It's a venti iced pumpkin spice latte. Like Jordyn and I picked up coffees on our way over here, and it's like, oh, which one's Nicole's? Not that one. That's a guy. That's great. I love it.
It's the man's drink.
Yep. It's okay. You can love sweets.
I do. That's true.
Anyways. All right. We just get started?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Let's do that.
So first and foremost, just to talk about what masculinity is as an overview, because so many people, they hear the word masculinity today. It's like the toxic masculinity, right? There's a bad connotation to it. Oh, how you treat your wife awful. She's a doormat. She just like does whatever you want, this, that, and the other, that whole thing, which is completely far from the truth as to what true masculinity is. That is completely false. And if that is masculinity, then of course nobody would want that in their life.
Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, you look to Jesus and Saint Joseph, and that was nothing of the example of masculinity. Daniel is just a great example of what it should be. So masculinity is not about control or status. It is a vocation. It's the call for men to mirror Christ, whose strength is shown through service, humility, and sacrificial love. True masculinity protects, provides, and leads for the good of others. So in this episode, we're just going to explore what that really means through the virtues that shape authentic masculinity. And there's plenty more than what we're covering here, but perseverance, chastity, humility, courage, and leadership are the ones that we are going to discuss with Daniel, and how living these out forms a man after God's own heart. So we're going to... Unless you have anything you want to add on to masculinity?
No, I guess what comes to my mind is like definitely not the spokesperson for any one of these virtues, but I would say that if anything, I guess, pulls at your heartstrings or makes you feel prompted in growth, praise God. But I just want to share my story, and somebody out there would be able to hopefully grow in their faith because of it. Yeah, I just think it's a big stage, a big topic to talk about. I'm honored I was, I guess, asked to do this.
Honestly, as people hear your story, they're going to hear how you've grown into the man that you are, right? The man that you are now is not who you've always been. You've been through a lot of stuff in your life to be where you're at. Part of doing this episode is the idea that people get to hear the challenges that you've faced to become the man that you are and to be where you're at. And so the point of this is men can be like, oh man, that's me too. Or I've been there. Or man, okay, I'm not alone in this, because I think men don't talk. The average man does not talk. And they suffer alone, and they can get like, it can be a lot of things, right? They can be, one, miserable because they're not talking. They can be angry. They can isolate. There's so many avenues that makes them turn inward. Yeah. So,
inward in not a good way.
Yeah. And they hide because they feel at shame, especially, I should get this out of the way. Actually, I forgot to say this. If you have children listening, I would maybe hold off on playing this out loud, because we're definitely going to get into good conversation about pornography. And so do with that what you want, but just to be aware for those of you who listen maybe in the car or something. So, but anyways, kind of moving back to masculinity, just to reiterate, masculinity it's an ongoing thing. Like, Daniel is still becoming the man that God wants him to be, and he will be forever till he dies, because again, like, we're not perfect until we get to heaven, right? So
that's why we're wannabes.
Exactly.
We're always trying.
Yep.
Always growing.
Exactly. And so it's always learning. And I think a huge part about being a man, and the reason I asked you to come on, is because being a real man is admitting your faults and like moving forward and trying to better yourself. And so many are not willing to go there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say when you were talking, one thing that really stuck out to me is I just had a conversation with Nicole, and I just was like commending her for her ability to just announce to me like her struggles, her shortcomings, whatever she feels like she's struggling in, she just comes right out and says it. Like, oh, I feel like I've been struggling with this a lot. I'm really not happy about this with myself. And she just like, boom, just instantly trust me to be there for her, to love her through it, regardless of whatever she's about to say. And for me as a man in my household and like the man in our relationship, it's my knee-jerk reaction is to be like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to lay out like this failure that I feel, right? This failure I have right out there and let my wife just hear me say it. Oh, I'm struggling with this, but like she does it with me all the time. And it really pushes me, like in my own heart, I always feel like that twinge, like, oh, I don't know that I would want to do that. Oh, I don't know that I want to do that. But I don't love her any less. I don't like
Right.
all I do is actually grow in admiration for her when she does. I'm like, wow, what a beautiful gift and trust in our love and our relationship.
Mhm.
And I think that's a lot of times like what it comes down to is a big fear of, is that person going to still love me
Yeah.
despite this
Right.
failure, despite
Right.
this flaw, and despite my struggle? And so to announce it like while you're struggling, that's a hard thing to do. But watching her do that is inspirational for me to like, okay, I need to step up my game, announce that I'm struggling so I can get help in the struggle to
Yeah.
come out of it, because she only wants what's best for me.
It's so much better
Yeah.
to walk through this struggle with someone than by yourself.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And I was
Yep.
going to say, but the part that's great on your end of that is that, like, with you as the man, she feels secure enough and safe enough and loved enough by you that she can just come out and say it, because she knows that you're not going to love her any less because of it. And so I feel like that's where, like, your, true masculinity lies, is like she feels safe
Mm-hmm.
so that she can just come out and say it.
There's that safe and that protection, and that you're going to protect her to the point of like you're helping fight that
You're
battle.
helping her fight the battle. She's
Mhm.
not afraid of you in
Mhm.
the battle. She knows that she has you with her
Mhm.
in the
Mhm.
battle.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's beautiful.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, then why don't we just jump into our first virtue? I know that you love the Bible verse that I wrote, though. So if there's something,
Yeah, I just found it really funny. So Rachel sends me the questions for this so I can kind of just get my head in this space here and start thinking about it the week beforehand. And she picks 1 Corinthians 16:13. Be watchful, stand firm in your faith, be courageous, be strong. I found this to be like stunning. I was absolutely shocked when I read this. So I had a business for an extremely short time when Nicole and I decided that was not for us. So kudos to my dad for running a business with a family, getting it done, and still having children that felt loved and adored. But so I really just wanted a Bible verse on my truck. And so I can't remember exactly the verse number, but it was 1 Corinthians, I believe it was 16:13-15, and it was just a slight bit different than this one, but it said, stand firm in the faith, act like men, let all that you do be done in love. It's definitely, that's just something I want to strive for, right? Like, because in our profession, we get paid for the things that we do, but that shouldn't be the motivator for why we do it or why we choose excellence. So we should choose excellence because we love the person we're serving. And unfortunately, we live in a world that everything is a monetary transaction. We don't do things for barter anymore. So you don't like, oh, I'm going to trade you a cow for your, your hay. You don't do that. You pay people.
Mhm.
And so it's, I don't know, it feels like less service sometimes. So that's why I picked that. And I was like, wow, well, that's really cool, Lord, that you would throw this in this episode of Masculinity.
and a little affirmation for you that you're the right person for this episode.
Exactly.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the first virtue. The first virtue that we are going with is perseverance. And we just did an episode on this, but the definition.
Perseverance is steadfast faithfulness, the endurance to choose God's path when tempted to give up. It is the firm resolve to remain faithful amidst trials.
And just to add to that, so I loved this Bible verse of Proverbs 24:16. The righteous man falls 7 times and rises again. And I just love that line because I feel like it's so comforting. That, right, perseverance doesn't mean that you just succeeded. You're talking about this excellence. And to get to this place of excellence, to strive for excellence, while striving, you might fall 7 times. The point of perseverance is that you get back up and you keep going, no matter how much you fall and screw up. And I think that that's just, a very comforting line from the Lord.
I would definitely agree. Yep.
So let's dive into your story, Daniel. We're gonna take it back a little bit to your young years.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Daniel's story, I would say, mostly starts in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So your first question. When you were younger, you cared deeply about your faith, but you didn't fit in. What was that like for you?
First, I'd like to say that thank you for picking out that I didn't fit in. No, I'm just kidding. No,
okay, you're the one who would leave school and go, I talk to my car more than I talk to people. So that is very justified that I wrote that, okay?
I agree. No, yeah, I actually, just the background of that, I've always had like a a personality that I just always wanted to make people laugh. And so when we moved, and this was in 3rd grade, I luckily at that time still had a decent amount of athleticism versus other kids. So like I was really fast in kickball. I'll never forget it. I was really fast. I kicked the ball really far. Instantly, like I had friends. I was like, no way, I kicked a ball and now I have friends. Like, but I became popular in the new school.
He peaked in 3rd grade.
Yeah, I did. I did peak in 3rd grade. But like so I like gained popularity decently quick, and I just loved making people laugh. And so I would get the class laughing and get in trouble for, steering us away from the topic at hand.
Class clown.
Yeah. But yeah, going forward through faith, I just kept losing friends because I wouldn't partake in what they were doing, whether it's honestly foul language. We're sitting in there with, 6 other kids my age, and they want to make profane jokes or use language that we definitely shouldn't be using, and I wouldn't partake in that. So like you're the odd man out, and like everyone's realizing that you're feeling awkward, so I make everyone feel awkward. And so then I just slowly start losing friends because they think that's cool. They want to be doing that stuff.
Did that start pretty young?
Yeah, so I would
5th
say
grade, kind of?
I would say 6th grade. Right when I went to middle school, there was a huge jump in what kids were talking about, how they were handling things, and what they wanted to be doing. And I think because, obviously we're getting older, but you just jump into an upper demographic. Now you're the little kid in that middle school, right? So you have 2 grades older than you. So all of a sudden you go from the top dog to the little guy, and you're like looking up, what are these kids doing? And so you want to be like
Trying
them.
to be cool like them.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah, just a side note, like Daniel and I went to public school our whole life. So this is all public school, which is why it was even more of a not fitting in because of the faith.
Right.
So.
Absolutely. So still had friends through middle school, went into high school. And as soon as you can drive, as anyone probably would have guessed, that's when everything really took a turn for me. I didn't get invited to parties, and that kind of stung, right? In high school, that stung. But I also, when I would hear what they were doing or how, like, the highlights of these parties, I'm like, well, I would actually never want to be a part of that. I never want to be doing that. That sounds terrible. But just watching my friends, like my best friends who I had for quite a few years, choose that really hurt. It was a big pain for me. So I think my journey, praise God, I was an athlete. Again, not the best, but enough that I made the teams, enough that I wasn't the kid who couldn't dribble the ball. No, I could dribble the ball. Like I wasn't this kid trying to play sports. I could play them. So that saved me. And also those friends who were still popular, that were my friends, didn't just ostracize me. So they didn't just kick me out and say, oh, Daniel's, a weird, awkward kid, let's make fun of him. That didn't happen for me. But what happened is I became invisible. All those friend groups, I went from 3rd grade to junior year with all these kids, the same kids. So I was nice to everybody, hopefully. Lord, forgive me for anyone I wasn't nice to. But I was mostly nice to everybody, I think. And so I didn't make any enemies. And I had a couple people that liked to pick on me. But for the most part, even the popular kids had accepted me. But then I became invisible because how do you all of a sudden make new friend groups when you're a junior, right? I ended up sitting at a table with kids that I enjoyed. They were fun, but they didn't try to befriend me. So like at lunchtime, I like scan the room, like, where am I going to sit today? I sit with the popular kids I used to be friends with. I hate the conversation. And then I go sit over here by these kids who will accept me, but they kind of just like, okay, sitting at our table today. So I just honestly felt invisible. I'm like, wow, no matter where I go, I don't actually matter to anyone here. And
it was a small high school too.
It was,
yeah.
I think when when I would have graduated there, it would have been like 750 people at the most at the school there.
Not even. It was
Not
like
even?
500.
Okay.
Yeah.
100 and some per class.
Yeah, my
probably.
class, the class right below me was one of our biggest classes, and that was like less than 200 still.
Okay.
And my class was one of the smaller ones, and it was like 100, 120s maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So right around 500 kids in our school.
Yeah.
So
like everybody knew
maybe
everybody.
3 tables to choose from.
Yep. So yeah, I kind of sat with like the dorky, nice kids, and I was glad to sit there. So I sat there all the time. And granted, I didn't sit there completely silent. I chatted with them, and they were kind of my acquaintances, but. Again, it wasn't a friendship after school. It wasn't a friendship after school. I'd be like, hey, dude, let's hang out. So anyway, I was driving at that point. I was invisible. And luckily through church, there was a large homeschool group who was always very kind. And I started kind of hanging out with them outside of school. I honestly don't remember how that started happening.
Justin Fatika.
Oh, yeah. No way. That's hilarious. Yeah, Justin Fatika through Hard as Nails. Yep. He was doing an event. And we went and we were with the homeschool families over there, and
Which
they
is like
accepted me.
my cousins.
Yeah.
that's so crazy.
Isn't that so funny?
What the
Yeah,
heck?
I know, such
That's
a
so funny.
small world.
Yeah. Yeah. So these homeschool families, wonderful, wonderful people. And as soon as that happened and they like accepted me, I'm like, man, these kids are like on fire for faith. They go to daily mass. They're talking about adoration. I'm like, wow, these are like my people. This is who I want to hang out with. Like, no way. So I was begging my mom, I don't know what, months probably, for her to take me out of school. And by God's grace, my mom switched me to homeschooling, and she really braved that change. And that was really hard for her as a mom. And to be honest, that homeschooling was not at all about school for me. I think probably the first 6 months. So I went halfway through junior year is when I dropped out of high school and went and switched to homeschooling. So dropped out's probably not the right term, but that's what I say, and it's kind of funny. But anyway, I finished junior year, senior year rolls around, and
You're just roofing.
I actually just started roofing. Business was tough, and I just started roofing. And I'll never forget walking in to my senior math class to go look at the roof leak at the high school, and my math teacher being like, what on earth are you doing here?
That is funny.
Yeah, and like going in there to look and map out the leaks and then go up there and work. And I'm like, I remember shaking, feeling so awkward. Like these kids are probably looking at me like I dropped out of high school completely and now I'm just roofing. But that was a wild experience. But I'm sure not very many kids get to do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, homeschooling saved me.
Did
as
you
a man.
actually finish the classes, or did you get
No,
your GED?
Yeah, so I basically... Yeah, I mean, it was basically a GED. I don't
Okay.
remember the whole inner workings of that.
I know that both of our diplomas do say Jorgensen Academy, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so...
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, I feel like we got off topic there.
No,
I
not at all.
apologize.
This is all
So,
part of your story. It's great
Yeah.
because you were just persevering in your faith through high
Mhm.
school. And so one of my questions for you is, did you ever question your faith during that time, or did this
Yeah,
isolation
okay.
just kind of like strengthen it for you?
Yes, thank you. This is good. So I remember there's a very specific moment, and I guess it was probably moments, but like there was that final straw for me. So I had joined football sophomore year, and I remember like all the little stupid hazing things they do in the locker room. So for whatever reason, the team decided they had this beating stick, and they would just come around and literally just whip people with the stick until you said ow. So if you said, they wouldn't stop until you basically were a wimp.
Mm-hmm.
And so they would come around and they would hit me, and I made it awkward for them. I just was like, I'm not playing your stupid game. So they would hit me with this stick in the leg, and I would just stare at them in the eyes while they hit me with this, and I refused to utter a word. And they felt awkward enough, they actually just left. So they
That's
just like left
amazing.
me alone,
Oh.
and then they would come back. Like, so anyway, I'm like, this is me like standing against like this ridiculous stuff. And
You're
then,
like, look
but
me
it
in
would
the
turn
eyes.
into-
I have dignity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they would turn it into bullying for these other kids.
Uh-huh,
So I just
for
kind of
sure.
like, that was my way of standing up to them without like
like taking
actually
it without like
puffing up my chest and being like, yeah, hit me with the stick. Like, I'm not going to do that because I was not a big kid. Like, I would absolutely get walloped. But that was like the first time I decided I'm not going to be bullied or pushed around, and I don't like your game because what you do to other people with this. So, but football, and then there was a time in practice, like around this foul language all the time. It's just an awful environment. I'm sure there's worse ones out there, but for me, it was awful. And I remember something happening, and I swore under my breath for the first time. And I was like, I'm done with this. I'm done with the rap music. I'm done with all the swearing and the like nasty jokes. I'm done with the hazing. I'm done. And I quit the team. I was just done. I felt it compromised me inside. And I was like, I can't go down this slippery slope. But I also attribute that to, at the same time, Nick, older brother, went to Franciscan. And he really kind of sparked a deepening of faith in our house when he went to Franciscan for grad school. And the way he was talking about just Catholicism and living out Catholicism in that time, maybe not for everybody, but for me, was a pivotal, palpable change in our family. And
No, it definitely was.
He was kind of like the strength in that for me. I idolized Nick for good reason too, as a kid. But like, I wanted to be like him, and I wanted to do everything that he did. I thought he walked on water. And anytime in high school, that also probably helped me. The teachers actually just loved me because of the legacy my brother had at the school. They would call me like Little Jorg, and my classmates would see that. And so Nick was like, big fish in a little pond. And
that was like what? He's
7 years older than me.
Yeah, exactly. Because he like won Mr. RB. He was the it man on campus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was getting attention in the sports pages and all that.
Yep.
So, and then also he was just a bigger kid. He's 6'3". So like and he stood up for people. So the teachers loved him, and then that kind of helped me as well out because those teachers were still coaching sports.
Yeah.
But anyway, he sparked that in me and helped me to like really find grit and going against the grain. And I think without that, I probably wouldn't have been as strong to quit the team or go against those things so hard. But he was always coaching me and telling me, hey, don't do this. I did this. Don't do this. I did this. It wasn't a good idea. Don't do this. This is how you should live. And because he was such a wonderful older brother to me, he was always protective of me. I just took whatever he said and said, that's a good idea. If that's what you say to do, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And
so he really helped you persevere through all those years. Okay.
Yeah. So
It's awesome.
We're going to move into chastity now. So hot topic.
Yeah.
So chastity involves integrating sexuality into the whole person, aligning desires with human dignity and freedom. It requires self-mastery and respects others, promoting authentic love. Chastity guides individuals to live their sexual identity in accordance with their state in life, fostering personal growth and true freedom.
I wanted to read this out of the catechism just because chastity is obviously something that we could do like a massive deep dive on in and of itself. And the main point that we're going to be making is about pornography and the struggle of pornography, especially for men. The role of chastity is not to just like stifle these desires that we have, right? It's not about like sex is bad and this is bad and whatever. Like these desires that we have are good and there for a reason. It's just a matter of how we use these things, right? So chastity isn't just the message being sex is bad, don't have sex. And that's it.
It's such a good and holy thing that it needs to
be
like upheld to a standard.
Right. And I just heard this analogy. Dad texted me this analogy. I have no idea who it was, but people who are like, well, if sex isn't bad, then why can't I have sex outside of marriage? And this analogy is amazing. I've never heard this before. So this guy's explaining that a fire in a fireplace is safe, and it's meant to be in the fireplace in the home. If you take the fire outside of the fireplace, it burns the house down because it's not meant to be in the living room, right? Or in the bedroom, and it destroys what is good because it wasn't in the place that it's supposed to be. So the fire staying in the fireplace, sex staying within marriage, it can warm the whole house and not burn it down. It does its job. It acts as it's supposed to because it is where it needs to be. And so when you take sex outside of marriage, it's like that fire and you're destroying your relationship and yourself, honestly, by doing so. And obviously pornography isn't just like about sex, obviously, but it's this
a distortion of it,
exactly,
which is also removing it from its fireplace.
Yes,
like
correct.
From the fireplace.
It's definitely an important topic to discuss. So I'm just going to read this paragraph real quick before we dive into your part of the story with this. So it says on paragraph 2354, pornography consists in removing real or simulated sexual acts from the intimacy of the partners in order to display them deliberately to third parties. It offends against chastity because it perverts the conjugal act, intimate giving of spouses to each other. It does grave injury to the dignity of its participants, the actors, vendors, and the public, since each one becomes an object of base pleasure and illicit profit for others. It immerses all who are involved in the illusion of a fantasy world. It is a grave offense. Civil authorities should prevent the production and distribution of pornographic materials.
Yeah, definitely. I wholeheartedly agree with that. The last few words there. Yeah, it should be absolutely unlawful. Yeah, it's a complete gateway to a lot of horrific things in and of itself too. But anyway.
Yeah. So obviously you've struggled with pornography. That's a huge part of this conversation. How old were you when you were first exposed?
Yeah. So before I answer that, I wanted to say this just was like on my heart as we were segueing into this one. Pornography is like the largest reason that I personally will homeschool my children. Pornography is so accessible. And with phones nowadays, if you send your kid on a school bus to go to school, I don't care if your kid doesn't have a phone, there's probably 40 other kids with a phone. And that is a terrible, terrible situation. School bus is one of the worst things. Zero oversight. Kids do whatever they want, say what they want. I have a lot of awful memories from the school bus.
Yeah, same here.
But school, that's not actually where I ran into pornography, but it was very openly talked about. And yeah, it's just a really rough place in my eyes to send my children to. So I will not, for very large in part because of pornography. But yeah, when was I exposed? It's honestly a really sad exposure. I personally believe I heard it from somebody else. I don't know where it comes from, but it makes total sense for me. But I heard that like Satan, like God has a plan for your life and Satan has a plan for your life. And Satan doesn't wait for you to be, oh, he's an adult now, we can get him. No, Satan is working against you your entire life. He doesn't care what stage of life you're at. He doesn't care if you're an infant. He doesn't care if you're 80 years old. Satan is coming after you the moment that you enter this earth. He's coming after you in the womb. Abortion exists because he is coming after you from the moment of conception. And he has so many people deceived thinking that somehow you're a fetus and that's not a person. That's a wild train of thought for me, but aside from the point, he's coming after you. And so where I was exposed was actually going fishing. I went down to...
I was with you.
You were with me? Yep, absolutely.
Praise God, have no recollection of that, like what was in that magazine, but I remember looking at it with you.
Yeah, yep. Praise God. I can still picture that vividly to this day, which is awful. The Lord has actually healed so many memories for me from that time of heavy addiction. I can't picture almost anything, but that initial and the other initial for me, I'll never forget. And part of that I am grateful for, because I think that'll always keep me awake to how you can't be too careful, especially with your children. In regards to your children, you can't be too careful, and you have to be able to have an open line of communication for your kids to come talk to you about this.
Yeah.
So luckily, my brother, again, very open line of communication and was my defender in this. But yeah, Rachel and I went fishing. We would always go down to the creek. It was like a quarter mile from the house. We'd ride our bikes down the hill, and literally the hill was so big, it was great. We would ride the hill down, and you could just coast the entire way to the creek. Mm-hmm. And once you got down to the bottom of the hill,
no exercising.
No exercising on the
until
you came back.
Yeah.
But we would go to the creek and we would fish off the bridge, and then at times there was like too much traffic, and we'd go down under the bridge and we would fish down along the water there. So one time we went down there, and somebody, I hope. This is what I think of. I hope that somebody threw that out the window into the creek because they were frustrated with their own addiction. I hope that they threw it out there hoping it would end up in the water. Unfortunately, you missed, and I saw that with my sister, and I will never forget that. Again, I can still picture it. It's awful.
How old were you when that happened?
It was probably 11 or 12.
Okay. Just a magazine?
Just a magazine. Yep. And so we were shocked. We flipped a couple pages and we were like, what is that? So I remember like my heart's racing. Like, this is wild.
And we were like, we were like, what in the world?
Yeah.
Nick was with us.
He was not yet.
Oh,
so
okay.
I remember what happened is we left. We were done fishing. We went home. I told Nick about it. And he's like, no way. And he's like, well, you were telling him about this. I don't think I wanted to verbatim say that there's naked people in there, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever. So we tell him about it. And we're like, it's a bad magazine. It's a bad, I remember that. So he goes down there and he's like fuming. He knows what this is already. So we go down to the bridge and I can't forget it. Nick brings like a shovel and he digs a hole and he puts the magazine in there. It's like muddy water by the creek and he buries it and we leave and we're in his truck. We're going back up to the house and he talks to me about it. I don't remember what he said at that point, but he just said like, that's really awful. You should have never had to see that. And I don't really remember specifics, but what he did is he pulls in the driveway, parks his truck, and then before we got out, he's like, wait a second, puts it in reverse, goes right back down in there, digs it out of the hole, and rips it up and destroys it, throws it in the water so it would absolutely be disintegrated. Nobody could undig that thing, right? It couldn't ever see the light of day again. And I was like, wow, oh, that was crazy.
He's probably like, I hope you don't get curious and go back and dig it up.
Exactly what he
Yep.
thought.
Yep.
And what a great brother. So, Nick, if you listen to this, your valiant efforts my whole life through this journey were awesome.
I'm sorry. How old were you?
I was 11 or 12.
Okay.
So the next moment that one was like scarring, right? But then I went and had a sleepover with my friend right down the road, and his parents had no blockers on the TV whatsoever. And I remember we were watching Gremlins, which I don't watch Gremlins, but we were watching Gremlins. And then he flips the channel, and looking back from my adult point of view, he had already been watching this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He flipped through it fast because it like blurred on the TV, and then he skipped it. And like I remember we were like squealing, like, what was that? Like shocked. But I think he was wanting to see if I'd be okay with watching that. And so then he went back and scrolled back through that channel again, and then again. And then I remember feeling so uncomfortable. I just like ran downstairs to the basement or whatever, said I had to go to sleep or whatever it was. And I just left, and he stayed in there. And that was the I guess for me, the real exposure to that stuff. And that was like when the real battle began for me. And I was deeply curiously seeking it out. I told nobody about it, didn't tell Nick about it. I felt so shameful, but that began the curiosity.
And so then
it's
how...
crazy just have like a flash of something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like,
especially like...
it just like sparks it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Especially as a guy, you know?
Yeah.
How were you accessing it after that? Because we didn't have phones.
Yeah.
Like they do now.
Right. So I didn't access porn, right? I wasn't accessing that. And so what started happening was these magazines in a bin in the bathroom, and they had like clothing in there, and people would go to the bathroom and read stuff. And so I'd flip through these magazines, and I would see like these models wearing basically, bras and underwear. And it started with that. And I was looking at that stuff. Anyway, I could access it. And then like that curiosity just had me like digging around. Where can I find it? Where can I find it? So like,
because you're getting like an endorphin.
Absolutely.
Kick.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just trying to find it anywhere I could. And that's a crazy, awful part of your mind in addiction is you will go to great lengths to find it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that was like where it was a constant.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the home office, the computer.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like we would go play internet games, and there would be ads that would pop up. Nothing like what today has, thank the Lord, but it's still awful. So those little ads would pop up, and like there were plenty of times where I'd be home alone, and those times like I would click on that ad, or I would see a news headline, and it was like celebrities, like these lady celebrities or whatever that I would see on the computer, and I started looking at that stuff, and so that's how that started, and then came the iPods and the iPhones that had that. And so that's where like the heavy addiction really started. But I was 2 years into this before anyone knew I had a problem. 2 years in. And one thing I do want mom to know is that she sparked the saving grace for me in this. And that was it coming into the light. So there was a day, the dinner table, mom got out. She's like, I just know there's it was basically like she just knew the Holy Spirit was guiding her, that Blessed Mother wants somebody to tell the truth. Somebody's hiding something, right? And mom didn't know that it was about me. She had no idea. She thought it was something else. Mom literally thought it was something else. And so she had everyone take a spoonful of holy water or Lord's healing water, whatever it was, one of the two. We all take a spoonful. I had no idea what was going to come out of me in this. I actually didn't feel like nervous about doing this, like, oh, somebody's hiding something. I didn't feel that because I actually didn't really know yet. I knew it was bad, but I didn't know it was like that bad. And took a spoonful of holy water, and I immediately started bawling at the table. And I was like, it was me.
Yeah. I remember
in front of everyone. Everyone's shocked looking at me, and they're like, what in the heck are you talking about?
It's like truth serum.
Yeah, it is. It was like truth serum. So mom dials up some truth serum. Thank the Lord we didn't do public confession, so I didn't have to just go out and state to everybody at the table what was going on. Dad takes me aside, and we went and talked, and praise God, we talked about what was really going on, and I just remember, like, just like hyperventilating, crying to Dad. This,
So are you like 14 or 15 at this time?
I was probably pushing 14. And then we talked about it. Dad took me to confession. He told me, he finally, told me all about masturbation, pornography, and all this stuff. And that was the first time I went to confession with it. And then that really started the battle where I felt so much shame in my life because I had built an addiction to this point. I had built an addiction with masturbation and pornography. And then, I guess that journey. So I just hope Mom and Dad know, like, you can't parent perfectly. But one thing that happened for me is there would be certain times where we would talk about like what sin is, or we would see, I guess, displays of people living one way and then going to mass, receiving communion. You know that, okay, these people are living together or whatever, like they shouldn't be doing that, right? But that talking about that, they probably meant so much good by that to kind of teach us like how you should be receiving communion.
Mm-hmm.
But that for me turned into, don't be a hypocrite. Don't ever show your failure. Don't ever show your shame. Don't ever show like that you could be failing in some way, because you'll get ostracized for that. So
right, like, so always receive because you don't want to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I received communion to never let anyone know that I was in a state of addiction and constantly falling into masturbation and pornography. So I received, God forgive me for that, so long, unworthily. And then I still didn't know, though, that it was unworthily. But I didn't know it was a mortal sin, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't clear, but I also didn't look it up. I knew it wasn't, like, right. I didn't know that. I'll never forget, Nick talked about, what did he say? It was like sacrilege. When that word was used, I was like, that shook me to the core. And so then I, again, went to confession, and I had to say that. And that was like another step for me, like, oh my gosh, how grave this is. And so then that really started me like trying to like white knuckle through addiction. Like, I cannot fall to this. I cannot, hold on. Like, I can't fall to this. But yeah, so like, I guess that was, just a really tough journey, and I just had a ton of shame and just kept misstepping.
At what point did you then decide to seek help?
Yeah. So again, through Nick, he just like verbatim asked me, hey, how's your journey going? Have you ever, or I think he just kind of asked me like, have you ever looked at porn or something? Like, he was just straight up with me, which is good. And we just started talking about it kind of often. I told him I remember crying to him and telling him I had a problem, and he was going to help me with this. And so we went on this journey trying to do it, like kind of just talking to it as brothers, and I wasn't making any progress. And then he brought me along to Reclaim Sexual Health. And this was when I was 17 at this point. And Reclaim Sexual Health, like anyone listening, that is like a game changer in pornography addiction. So the founder it's a co-founding thing. There's two guys, a guy that struggled with addiction for like 20 years. He could not get out of it. He fasted, was praying the rosary daily. He literally wanted to commit suicide because he couldn't get out of his pornography addiction.
Wow.
And in that time of his life, like wanting to commit suicide, he didn't. He knew it was wrong. But he's like, Lord, I am like, I'm like so trapped. I cannot get out of this. And he met a brain like psychologist, like this really tiny finite world of brain science. And they together developed something. He's like, dude, you just need to rewire your brain, dude. He's like, it's simple. And like, and he's like, right. Yeah.
Oh, so simple.
So simple. But so the brain science behind it, people don't know this, but your brain, like your body obviously like releases endorphins for things, and like our phones are addictive, scrolling, right? Like your brain like wants for that. It's like, here's your answer. You're stressed. Here's your answer. Do this. You're lonely. Here's your answer. Do this. So
instant gratification.
Yeah. So you operate off of like triggers. So your body and my stress of life. So through high school, all that loneliness and visibility I felt, I poured that out into pornography. That's where I went to feel better. And I didn't know I was doing that, but like that's what I was doing in this addiction. I was feeling something. And so this like teaches you to rewire your brain, because I had tried fasting. I had tried the daily rosary. I was constantly at war. I would go to confession and talk to the priest and be like, look, I feel like a complete hypocrite. I was like, I can't beat this. And I walk into church and I feel like a complete loser. I feel super fake in my life because of this. I just can't when.
Quick question.
Yeah.
How often was it like a daily occurrence for you at one point? Or
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
absolutely. Like, in the heat of it, I was like, embarrassingly, multiple times a day in the heat of it. It
Yeah.
was literally ruling my life.
Yeah.
And then, once I started really fighting with like prayer and fasting, it eventually was not a daily thing. But before I started like making war on this, and I had to turn this into a daily war. The moment I opened my eyes to the moment I went to bed, that was on my mind to fight it. And that was when I finally made progress where it became like a weekly thing. But like at the heat of it, daily. So then, but anyway, through Reclaim, it teaches you to rewire your brain. It teaches you steps to combat it. So you have to start learning about yourself. You learn about triggers. You learn about what makes you fall into that. Okay, so for me, it was being alone, being tired. Those were like my two main things. And so you had to learn to put things in place for those. And you would have to prepare for that moment. It's going to happen. I'm going to be alone and I'm going to be tired.
Yeah.
So
It's
how
like,
do
how do you avoid the near occasion of sin?
Yeah.
In that sense.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, there's way more than I can get into with this, but Reclaim Sexual Health will teach you how to get out of it. And that saved my life. It was a tough journey. It actually, in the beginnings of this, it was the beginnings of iPhones and things. And I didn't want my family, again, so much shame. I didn't want them to know I was doing this program because I didn't want them to know I was an addict. And so I was trying to hide this and doing this on my phone. And back then, not everything was formulated for a phone. It was a desktop version that I'm doing on my phone. And I'm like really trying to do these videos and trying to scroll around. And like I don't know if you can remember trying to scroll on a desktop site on your phone.
Yeah. Yep.
I was trying to do all that.
Terrible.
Yeah, it's awful. And there are some things that wouldn't work. So the journey took longer than it should for me.
And
Most
you probably
people,
almost felt even more sneaky
It did.
than ever before.
It did.
And you're like,
Yeah.
It did.
I'm trying to do something good and now I'm feeling more sneaky.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, it became such a funny thing for that. But luckily, so I did that. I found a lot of healing, but I actually didn't get totally healed yet because I gave up on this desktop version, unfortunately. And then a couple years later, I rebought it myself, told Nick I'm doing it. And then, so like this was at 19 now. That's when I actually destroyed this thing, finally. It still was a journey. It didn't just come to a complete cold turkey. I'm victorious.
Yeah.
No, and I personally, some people disagree with me, but I feel like once an addict, always an addict. You cannot play with those things, right?
Right.
Mhm.
I had an addiction for 7 years. I'm not playing games with something like that. And so you just have to play hardball the rest of your life. Granted, my mind is not in the place that it was in those times. So like I feel very healed. I feel so grateful to God. But finally, I got that. They updated it, got it onto a version I could do on my phone, got through it, finally got healed. Very, very awesome.
Yeah. Did that, not to like jump ahead in your story or anything, but since we're on this topic, did that play into your marriage at all, or were you healed to a point that it actually didn't really affect your marriage?
Yeah, no, praise God, has not affected my marriage.
That's good.
I was fortunately able to kick it before.
So that's how good it is. We'll link that program in the show notes for people to be able to get right to the link if they need it.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, awesome. So at 19, you were finally you kicked its butt, and
that was when I started kicking its
Okay.
butt. You know, I would say completion was right around like 21, 22 is when I like
so it's still quite a journey even when you're doing that. And so the people need to take, be patient with yourself.
Absolutely.
If you have this problem, you're not going to be better tomorrow.
No, yeah.
So.
And honestly, as scary as it is, the people that do the best are the ones that will trust. Again, going back to all the way to the beginning, Nicole trusting me to share her struggles. The more people you trust, the more people you bring it to the light with. So you would do way better than me, anyone that does that. Bring it to the light. And anyone that ostracizes you for that is, honestly, you're a loser. If you're going to ostracize somebody for coming out about their failure, you're a loser, and that's straight out of the mouth of Satan.
Yeah.
Because he wants it in the dark.
Yeah.
So you tell people, and you will get healed so much faster because it's in the light, and people know about it, and they want to be there for you.
Yeah.
And the people that don't, cut them out of your life because they're not there for your good.
Right.
So,
and like that's what I was just going to say is the devil wants isolation and he wants shame.
Yep.
When you feel those things, that is what he wants. The Lord wants you to feel loved, known, seen, and and valued for what you truly are, for who you truly are, that the devil wants the opposite. It's the two paths. And so if you're feeling misery and shame and isolation, do the opposite thing that you're doing, which is probably hiding.
And then
bring it
also,
to the Lord.
why don't you, let's rely on some statistics. I think it's 88% of men struggle with this on a regular basis. So you're an addict, right? 88% of men.
Yes.
High.
And
so is that all males in the world? So it's basically you haven't been exposed, so that 20% or
that 12%
are the people that aren't struggling.
Miraculously haven't been around an iPhone, I guess, or something. Yeah.
Well, and I was even talking to one of the dads at the school who wants to do TOB, theology of the body, and he's got a lot of boys in his family, and he's like, look at what you drive past on a billboard.
Yep.
You cannot avoid it.
Yep.
So for any parent to say, not my child, not my child. No,
wrong.
You're actually so wrong.
Yep.
And if you aren't monitoring your kid's phone, it is your child. That's the reality. That is the truth, because even the mothers that I know who work their butts off to protect their kids still have situations that their kid falls and fails. And it's not even no choice of their own. It doesn't make you a failure as a parent. It doesn't make your child a failure. This is the reality of the world we live in. If you hand your child a iPhone, any phone, you are handing them with it 50 other problems, if not more.
Yep, absolutely.
And whether that's doom scrolling, pornography, and God knows what else that they could fall into.
Yeah. Well, even one of the ways you started out, an innocent magazine that your mom would have never even questioned.
Yes.
And, it's just oh, there's a bra ad.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it might not even, even something simple. It's maybe not even the whole magazine. It's one of those little cards that they stick in it for just one small ad.
Right. And another.
It could be
and here's another thing. This is really sad. I'm glad you brought that up again, because this is I don't know. I just feel like the Holy Spirit, I would go to the mail first, because there would be Victoria's Secret ads in there, and I would get them. I would grab them out of there. So I would get the mail first.
I'll go get the mail today, Mom.
Yeah. No one, you would never think that your son is going to get the mail to try find an ad. Nowadays, that's probably not happening as much, right? But I was kind of in that.
They still definitely come in the mail.
Yeah, they do, right? But that's not I guess what you're thinking back.
No.
I was in that hybrid phase of coming out of basically magazines to now your phone, right? But that stuff, you can't protect your kids enough from this stuff. And you can't talk about it don't wait until oh, this is the age I'm going to talk about it. You need to start finding ways to open the gateway to talk about how you should see a woman dressed. And tell your son, you don't have to talk about pornography. You can say, if you see an image of a woman in a bathing suit, if you see an image of a woman that's not fully clothed, they'll get it. They don't have their clothes on.
Yeah.
If they're in their underwear, you need to tell me about it. Because that's not good for you. That's not good for anyone to see. You shouldn't see it. But sometimes there's people that don't understand that's good or bad.
Yeah.
And they're going to send that, and it might come in the mail. It might be in a book that we have in the house. You tell Mom, you tell Dad.
Yeah, the billboard that I didn't catch that you did. You're not going to see everything that your kid sees. I mean, you're in the mall. You're going to see outside they're always modeling off the bras and the underwear. It's just this is the world we live in. We're so desensitized to it. Even leggings, right? Even that is not good. And I've had this conversation with the girls. They're like, well, why can't men just train their eyes?
Because the devil doesn't work that way.
No, but then I say to them, do you notice when girls wear leggings to mass? Yeah. Why do you notice it? Because you also look at their butt. That's just the truth. Your eyes go to their butt. That's it. Well, how do you think a guy feels?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I personally
hate
going to the beach. I don't want to go to the beach because I don't I just want to look at the sky. Let me burn my eyes with the sun. It's annoying because as a man, regardless, it's going to draw your eyes. I don't care if you're a man or a woman, like you just said. You're going to look and you're going to see people. And so I don't want to look at that.
Yep.
I don't want to. And luckily through training, thoughts used to come along with looking. I don't have a thought anymore. And if I do, you turn that right back to God. You learn how to turn that what would be a lustful thought into just turning it back to God. Okay, I'm going to go to a beach again here the next whatever, right? And there's probably going to be a moment where unfortunately, I'll have a lustful thought, and because of all the training, I'll be like, Lord, thank you for the gift of a woman's body. Let this die here and help me to be chaste in my eyes and in my thoughts. And it's just, that's why it's always a constant battle.
Yeah.
But,
The world does not make it easy on men.
No.
And, you know, sweet Becca. I love that girl so much. Oh my gosh. You were there.
I was there.
Okay. You were visiting Becca and Chris in California, and we were at Malibu. And we took the kids up to Point Doom to see the view of the ocean. And we're walking back. And this young girl is getting her photos taken, not wearing a bra, and lifting her shirt. And we were like,
no.
Oh, it was bad. It was so bad. And Becca, so sweet and meek, yet so courageous. I get the kids through.
Immediately like,
yep,
reroute.
We rerouted
move.
the kids, but she went to her. Becca went and spoke to this woman.
No.
Yep.
I love her.
And no, I was like, this is beautiful. And she was like, I have children around. Do you think what you're doing is okay? And she just questioned her and was like, do you feel comfortable doing this?
Like, my little boy could have just seen you.
Yeah. And then said, I will pray for you, but you cannot be doing this. And I was like, dang, Becca. Mama Bear came out. She was like, we need to leave. It was bad, though, but it's just like, even in that, because she homeschools and, you know, I mean, they live in LA, so they see a lot of things, but like, she does so well and tries so hard to protect her children. And then what? You can't even go to watch a sunset without almost
running
seeing
into a
literal, like, pornographic photo shoot happening. Absolutely. It's so sad.
It is so sad.
And before we move on from all this, I just also want to say I'll link in the show notes for parents, Fight the New Drug, because if you go to their website, they have all kinds of resources to go to and also resources for finding a new phone for your kid. Bark phones, whatever, getting the Bark app on an iPhone, all of this stuff to help you manage what your kid is seeing. Because another point I want to hit on is girls don't always necessarily struggle with pornography in the same way, but girls' imaginations run wild. So you need to really look at what your daughters are reading. You need to be so careful with what your daughters are reading, because that is, in my opinion, and actually I'm pretty sure it's fact, but like, I'm not going to die on that hill, that is the issue for women, right? Where girls masturbate and where girls fall is when it comes to reading stories, and it just pulls them in. And so if you have a Kindle for your kid and you say, oh, not my kid, no, check what they're reading. Even if it seems like, oh, maybe innocent a little bit or whatever. There's even Christian authors who
tell the story about the book.
So I'm so grateful I realized this. Okay, so just a couple months ago, September, it was my niece's birthday, and I'm her confirmation sponsor, and she loves reading. And I'm at Barnes & Noble, and I'm like, oh, I think I remember Becca reading this author. So I grabbed the book, and I'm like, oh, Redeeming Love. Like, I've heard about this. This should be good, right? I'm reading the back, yada, yada, yada. I get it for her. I go home. I give it to her. And like probably 5 days later.
Was it like based on a Bible story?
Yeah, right? There's like a whole thing with it, right? There's like a Bible story, which the Bible has scandalous stories, right?
Right.
So anyways, long story short, 5 days later, I am home alone and I made dinner and I was like, I guess I'll turn something on, you know? And I see on Netflix Redeeming Love. I'm like, oh, it's the book that I got for Abby. So I click on it. I get 11 minutes in and I go, oh, shoot. And I call Natalie and I go, don't give your daughter the book. Don't give it to her. It's about a prostitute. And even though it's about redeeming love and it is about like finding God and all of that, it's going to be graphic. And this woman's a Christian. And I then retext Becca because I tried to ask about this author. She goes, yeah, she's pretty scandalous. I wouldn't recommend. And I was like, oh my, I'm so grateful that like I got 11 minutes in, got my answer and was like, crap, you know, failure of a confirmation sponsor. Like, you know,
but at least God planted that moment for you to see that.
But
just a beautiful way of his
mercy and protection.
Insertion of protection. That is so cool.
Yeah.
What a little it's like a little miracle.
So grateful. Yeah, so grateful. But seriously, moms and dads, look at what your daughters are reading.
Yep.
Look at what your kids are doing.
Yep.
And don't let them have their phones in their room.
Yep.
Honestly.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, the phone should really, in my opinion, I only have, kids that are 4, but if your kid has a phone, they literally don't need it. The only time they need that phone is if they are leaving the house so you can contact them.
Yep.
After that, in my opinion, phone gone. What do you need it for?
Yeah.
You don't need a computer at your fingertips all day long. It's such a temptation.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could live without my phone, I would.
Like
it's terrible.
It's like we put in the hands of the children all the things we're not even good at, right? We lack self-control as adults.
Yep.
Why do we think that the kid's going to have self-control?
Yep.
Like, of
the
course
things
they're
that
not.
we see
Yeah.
popping up, it's going to be worse for them, especially because of their curiosity and lack of self-control.
Yeah,
also.
and it's just a matter of, I don't know. We could go on this topic all day.
True.
And I know that we could, but truly it's because it's an important topic and not enough people are willing to admit that their kid too. That's how I say it. It's your kid too.
Yes.
And if you think it's not your kid, I'm sorry, but
it's your
kid too.
It
It really is.
Yes. You have to be, to kind of recap, in my opinion, I really believe you can't be too careful.
Yep.
And you have to be the front line. You have to be the first one to sound the alarm for your kid. They're 8 years old and you don't think they know anything about it? Well, you open that up because they're getting older and the average age of exposure, I believe, is 8.
Yep.
So maybe you're already too late. 8 too late. Remember that, right? Start at 7 then. Start talking to your kid about what is an image that they should be telling you about.
First communion.
Yes.
Like they're so innocent and little.
Yeah. So talk to your kid first. Gently open that door of communication. Always keep it open. And always, always, always. Addiction will grow and it will be hidden and it will be secret if your kid feels they cannot trust you and if your kid feels that they will be shamed or ostracized for their struggle, for something they witnessed, saw, or even partook in. Your kid needs you desperately to be the frontline defender.
Yep.
And open arms, love, forgiveness, and beating the dead horse that no matter what they do, you will love them regardless. Because I think for every parent, that's true.
Yeah. And I mean, it's your duty. It is your duty to get your kid to heaven.
Yep.
And the reality is your childhood didn't have a phone, but theirs does.
Yes.
And it's a new battleground that you have to...
You need to be prepared for them.
Yeah, you need to be there for them in that.
Yep.
Because even if they say that they have self-control, good gosh, we barely have it. Like, of course they don't have it. Yeah. They're not meant to have it. Yeah. So... Anyways, I'll link a bunch of these resources you can go to A, help yourself, or B, help your child.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
also, too, you don't have to be an addict to benefit from reclaimed sexual health. Anyway, you just learning about those ways, those tactics to help yourself to get away from anything that's a temptation or a problem. The brain science applies to anything, but this was specifically for pornography. But learning ways to combat any type of addiction.
Yeah.
And now don't you also have, what is it, the Covenant Eyes?
Yeah, Covenant Eyes. So I did have that for a long time. I don't have it anymore. I'm not saying that to recommend that anyone shouldn't have it, but as a browser for myself, it was really annoying that like my dad sends me a sports video and I can't even open the sports video because there could be an ad on there, which so for every kid, like you should have that.
Yeah, Covenant Eyes for the kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, like as an adult, man, if it's a problem that if that ad is going to trigger you into falling, just get Covenant Eyes.
Yeah.
You don't have to see that sports ad, right? You don't have to see the sports video or whatever reel it is. Like just get rid of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Covenant Eyes is awesome, but it's also not the fix. A lot of people will be like, oh, I'll get Covenant Eyes. I can't see it. I can't access it. No problem. That's not true. You have to beat the addiction. So
yeah.
Covenant Eyes is a very massive help
tool,
and it is
but
incredible.
It's not the fix-all.
Yeah. Yeah. So get that. That's step one. It's just stop seeing it, stop accessing it. And then you have to do something, whether it's SA, a group that's going to help you. Accountability partner is massive, but absolutely, there's no reason to not do Reclaim.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all that because truly, I don't know anyone else who'd be willing to share it this way.
The vulnerability it's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's something
I would
that
hate for another kid.
People don't talk about it enough and they don't admit to the struggles.
No.
Because, I feel like the men of faith, they're too ashamed to admit that they ever have struggled with it.
Yep. There is so much shame around it.
The people that don't have faith don't care that it's a problem, and they are just like, oh, sex jokes up and down.
Yes,
like,
yeah. Yep. Yeah, and so anyone that feels shame about it and is really scared to come out with it, even whether it's, to a brother in Christ, your dad, whoever, find a man, obviously, that you can trust and go through that journey with a man, because it's too much weight to go through an addiction and talk about things that you need to with a woman or with your wife. If you're struggling in a marriage, like you're married and struggling, you do need to bring it out to the open and trust your wife's going to be there. You said for better or for worse. And so if you get pushback on that, it's going to be hard. It would be an awful thing. I'm so glad I didn't have to do that with Nicole. But if I did, if your wife is she's probably going to cry. But if she's going to push back on you and make you feel shame about it, you do need to stand up for yourself and say, look, I need healing, and I'm talking to you about this because I need healing, and I need you to be on my side. Yep. I need you to be helpful to me. And this is a battle for not only our marriage and me, but for our children, for our future. But absolutely find a man to go through the daily journey with it on, and then have checkups with your wife. Have checkups, like if you're married, have checkups with her on that. But
and if you're not married, I also probably wouldn't suggest a female friend either, just because.
Yeah, of course,
right?
Of course,
I feel like that would just end up kind of weird. Maybe.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and we don't get it. Like we don't get that same.
The same. Having a man is definitely.
Yeah.
And then I will say this, too, to help people feel better. David killed his best friend because he coveted his wife. So, we're all redeemable. David is a great man. He was a great man after the Lord's own heart. So, just because you did some really awful stuff that you're super ashamed about doesn't mean you're not redeemable. It doesn't mean you won't still be a great man. Mm-hmm. And you have to turn around when you get through it and use that story to help other people, because at the end of the day, people listening to me on a podcast talk about this, I'm not a real person in their life. This isn't nearly as impactful as you telling them that you went through it because you live the daily journey with them and they see you and who you are as a person. So the people need to talk about it and be open about it to the people in their immediate circle.
Yeah. Awesome. So just to wrap up this section then, I feel like maybe you already said something to this level, but what would you say now to other men who are where you once were, who want freedom but feel trapped?
Yeah.
And we can skip it if you were just...
Yeah, I mean, it's all that stuff, but let's answer, right? The recap. Those are nice when I listen to it. So I would say bring it to the light. Bring it to people who you really believe will love you regardless of this struggle. You don't have to get graphic. You just need to tell them that you have a struggle with this and start opening the door with people. And those who bring opposition to this or struggle with this, number one, give them time. It's hard. And then number two, don't let their shock or criticism of this bring you down. Just know that Christ wants it in the light and Christ is going to walk through you with this. But yeah, you have to tell people, and you need to seek out ways to get healing through it. And again, reclaim sexual health. I don't think I can say that enough in this part of the podcast. It will save your life.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's awesome. And then how did that battle ultimately change the way you viewed love, purity, and your vocation as a man?
Yeah, this is a tough one. Nothing jumps at me. Mm-hmm. I think the vocation as a man, you have to be a warrior for your family. And again, so it draws up a ton of protective feelings for my kids with this, because this is an unfortunate thing we have to battle in today's world. So yeah, going through that, my eyes are wide open to the avenues that my kids could find something. And I absolutely will rise to protect them from that, but then also keep that line of communication open for them. But viewing love, I don't think in my case, praise God, it distorted my view of love, but it definitely felt it made me feel robbed of purity. Yeah, I feel like a complete failure in that regard. So in terms of purity, I felt like I had none of that remaining. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that I don't feel any lack of love from the Lord in that. I feel totally healed through all of this.
I wonder if part of that too is we did have a good example of love in our parents.
We did.
And a really good affirming, you weren't doing it out of a place of not knowing love and not knowing what
Mhm.
what good love is like,
Mhm.
right? Not being affirmed or anything.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you were in the dark
Yeah.
on the reality of God's love either, which I think is beautiful, and maybe that's part of the reason why it didn't distort that view, because that wasn't your first view of love, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I would agree with that.
anyways, awesome. Well, then let's move on to our next virtue in masculinity. So, thank you again, though, for sharing all that.
Yeah. Hey guys, just wanted to do a quick shout out to Freedom Group. We just went down to Seek this last week and saw Freedom Group right next to us. And I had a really good chat with the owner and some of the guys that work there at Freedom Group. They take Reclaim's neuroscience, brain science stuff, and they've added it into their program. I feel like it's a really, really awesome way to get free. And they mentioned they do coaching. They do a monthly subscription, and they have a personal coach for everyone. And they just have a lot of resources, and they've compiled so many things together. They have a really incredible way to get free and just tons of help, tons of resources. They just went through and did all the hard work, deep dives, and just research to find the just most comprehensive way to get free. And there's just so many tools for so many different people with different issues or stories or whatever. So check them out, Freedom Group. Just awesome people with an awesome purpose. And I really believe anyone that wants to get free, that reaches out to Freedom Group, is going to experience that the same way that I did. And I just wish they existed back when I went through my journey to freedom. So reach out to them. Rachel will be linking the Freedom Group page on her show notes. You'll be able to access whatever you need, find what you need, and God bless. And I'll just pray that everybody gets free, everybody gets all the help they need. And I just really hope my story is one that will help all of you, or any of you. If just one person can get free, I know that story will continue to spread and bring freedom to others. So keep it going, share your stories, be courageous, and just know that there are so many people, so many men who are struggling. You're not alone. So share your story, share your journey, and get free.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening to part 1 of Daniel's amazing story. You can access all of the links to help all of that in our show notes, and stay tuned for part 2.
And if this helped you, please share the episode, rate and review us, and
prayerfully consider supporting us on Patreon.
All of our links are also in the show notes.
Bye!
Bye!
Thanks for listening to the Wannabe Saints podcast.
If you have a question or topic you would like us to cover, reach out to us at wannabesaintspodcast@gmail.com or on Instagram at wannabe_saints.
You can find the link in our show notes.
Thanks for listening, and God bless.